Good day, Ambassador, and
afternoon.
welcome to BRICS Africa channel.
Thank you.
Today, I thought we'll take some time since our time in St. Petersburg and get some time to get to know what can be done between South Africa and Russia to improve and our historical relations.
Let me begin by saying that the fundamentals of our relationship are very strong. Actually, on a broader scale, today is the 63rd anniversary of the adoption by the UN General Assembly of the Declaration on the Granting of Independence to Colonial Countries and Peoples. And that one was the diplomatic initiative by the Soviet diplomacy. And it played a crucial role in decolonization of the whole of Africa. And then several other very important initiatives were tabled by the USSR, our predecessor, as Russia is a continuing state. In particular, the Special Committee on Decolonization was established by the Soviet initiative, and many other things happened due to that. So this is for the African continent as a whole. But let's narrow the focus to South Africa now. And again, everything that I've said is relevant, of course. But there are some specials. In particular, we can remember, and we should remember, of course, the years of the anti-apartheid struggle in the south of the African continent, and the role that Soviet people, Soviet state played in that. And this is a very good basis for developing our relations, because they are not burdened by some negative events. No colonial elements in our relationship. Russia was one of the nations that did not have colonies on the African continent, and so on. So let's use this positive background and move forward. We need to develop, first of all, I think, our economic ties, because there is a discrepancy between very well developed political relations and economic, in the economic sphere, relationship are not so developed. They are developing, but in a sort of slow motion. We need to fill this gap. The bilateral trade between our countries is insignificant by the Russian scale of overall trade volume with our partners. On the BRICS scale, again, if you measure it against the volume of trade of the Russian Federation with other BRICS partners, it is not so big as well. So this is one obvious, very obvious example of where should our efforts go in the first place. But there are big potential in most of other areas. Humanitarian contacts, people to people, I mean, in sports, in any area of artistic exchanges, we have enormous potential. We just need hands and people to do that, who would assume this task and just start working.
And Ambassador, you talk about improving our trade side. Last week, I think we had companies from Russia coming to showcase their expertise around ICT. And the question then comes, since the sanctions, how have the sanctions impacted on growing these trade exchange and trade relations between our countries?
Well, I would say that there is a positive side and negative side to this. Now, the negative side, of course, sanctions somewhat slowed down the development of our trade relationship, because some people in South Africa are cautious about being punished with so-called secondary sanctions, especially in the finances. So some people adopt this wait-and-see approach, and it does influence bilateral trade. But overall, I think that we should look at these sanctions as a window of opportunities. A lot of Russian businesses who previously have been dealing mostly with the Western partners and were westwardly oriented in general, because no secret, European Union was our biggest partner, even more important than China in terms of trade volume. So now these businesses have to look elsewhere. They have realized that in democratic states everything can happen to their business partners. They can be prohibited from trading with Russia. They were forced to withdraw from Russia, lose benefits, lose a lot of assets, to sell them for cheap and so on. So they were, many businesses, Western businesses, were affected by these sanctions. But still, let's leave it, it's their problem. But what I want to say, my point is actually that Russian business people started looking elsewhere. And this is an opportunity that we should use and that we should support and develop perhaps at the state level, at the governmental level, because this is what we can place in a smart way, to use this situation.
Yeah, I think you're quite right, because when I was in St. Petersburg, one could see that there was no diversity. If you think about all the businesses that stopped because they were looking into Europe mostly, and possibly it's the best time for South African businesses to start going and looking for opportunities that they can service the Russian market. What kind of bilaterals are in current play to make that happen?
One example you have just provided us with, it's that kind of business missions as the one that just finished its stay in South Africa, in the IT people.
Yeah.
And this is an important area, as I understand, for South Africans, and we have something to share with South Africans in this regard, because in particular, let's take governance, the area of governance, from municipal to the national level. The digitization in Russia is at a very high level. I think that we're ahead of many developed countries in this, and this is recognized as a successful area, successful example by the Russian society. in particular. So, and I know that South Africans are interested in this, and I think that cooperation here can be very, very fruitful. There are some projects already, actually, in discussion, though it's not on the at the stage of realization, but implementation. But some projects are being discussed already, and we expect a lot in this area because when the first projects will work, others will see and I hope follow the good example. So it is not the first one, it is not the last one of such missions, of course. And then there is South Africa-Russia Business Council that is pretty active. And within South Africa Black Business Council is very positively and actively aspected in this, and we think that, that there is a bright future. We, as embassy, we will do our best to assist in all these attempts.
Okay. Talking about missions, the African leaders led by President Ramaphosa had a mission to go to Russia in June to talk about the peace mission, to talk about the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Any developments from those conversations?
Well, first of all, we are very grateful for our partners be so positively aspected and so proactive, because obviously this African peace mission is a manifestation of a very friendly attitude. It is a gesture of goodwill, undoubtedly, and we value that very much. Though not necessarily the countries that have pro-Russia external politics participated in this mission, but overall it is the gesture by friends. But the participants could see for themselves, I think, that it is not an easy task that they have assumed. And Russia, as our president and foreign minister and other leaders repeated and stated on many occasions, is ready to discuss all aspects, and we never refused to participate in any talks about peace in Ukraine, but the problem was on the other side. Do I have to repeat it that in September 2022, President Zelensky issued a decree prohibiting Ukrainian officials to negotiate with the Russian officials. It is a piece of legislation, so we can say that all talks are prohibited by law in Ukraine with Russia. And then there were several attempts, more successful, less successful, that were initiated in good faith or in bad faith. In bad faith, I mean, first of all, this so-called peace plan, infamous peace plan by President Zelensky, which is basically a compilation of ultimatums to Russia, which all of them and every one of them are absolutely unacceptable, without even talking about the extent to which they reflect or based on the situation on the ground, and they are just unacceptable initially. And all talks and negotiations on the basis of this infamous peace plan have no future, because Russia will never accept an outcome of a negotiation process in which it does not participate. So there are, attempts from different sides with pursuing different goals, and lately I am I'm not aware of the latest developments with the African Peace Mission in the last few weeks. But we value the drive of our African partners.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the leaders are one thing when it comes to peace and promotion of peace, but more importantly, it's both our nations, our people, that need to keep our relations going high, because it is really relations not only of leaders, but it's the strong historical ties that we share for decades and decades.
Absolutely, I agree. And we have a lot to do in this area.
Yeah. Talking about that, do you know next year there's going to be the games of the future from the 24th of Feb until 1st of March. So we're looking forward to be in Russia. I think South Africa is also participating in those international games.
Well, yes, the next year Russia will assume presidency in BRICS. We will pick it up on the 1st of January, where South African chairmanship will leave it. 12 p.m. on the 31st of December. And the BRICS will start operating in a new format, in an expanded format, the achievement of the South African presidency. So we will try to make the transition to the extended format as smooth as possible. In particular, we will try not to let the number of events drop. It will be about 200 of them. We would prefer to have all the meetings in person, but it will be hardly possible in every case to have that format in 100%. BRICS sports games is just one of the almost 200 events, as I said, and they will take place, if my recollection is good, in June in Kazan. And we expect a lot from this event because many other sports events unfortunately have become so politicized that not all countries can participate. We need to have sports outside of politics, definitely. And many international bodies, sports bodies, unfortunately and very sadly, have proved that they are not free of politicizing.
I heard, talking about the Olympic sport, one would expect that sports to be beyond politics because it's really people to people. And President Putin was saying this afternoon that unfortunately people are politicizing sports instead of enjoying sports to use the vehicle of sports of bringing people together, and not to be filtering people using sports as a tool of dividing politics.
Absolutely. Some international sports associations, sports bodies have started implementing in the direction the opposite to which they were initially created, like the International Olympic Committee. I think that Baron Pierre de Coubertin, who started the Olympic movement, now is turning and tossing in his grave, witnessing what's the decisions that the IOC they're taking right now.
Well, thank you, Ambassador.
Thank
I
you.
think we'll have time for that, but we'll definitely come again. There's going to be plenty of these conversations as you'll be assuming the BRICS chairship next year.
No problem.
Thank you so much.